What if I told you fear isn't your enemy, but your master? Not the kind that roars, but the one that whispers. Not the monster in the dark, but the voice that says, play it safe. You don't ignore your dreams because you're weak. You ignore them because I made safety look noble and risk look like ruin. You call it overthinking, I call it obedience. Because when fear speaks, you listen. You stall, you shrink, you submit. And that's why fear is my most powerful ally. Want to know how I use 5 simple strategies to control your entire life? Lean in. Number 1. I don't scare you, I delay you. Tell me something. What if fear doesn't show up as panic, but as patience? What if the thing stopping you isn't a scream, but a whisper that says, not yet? You think I come to you in terror, in blood-pounding chaos. No, that's too obvious, too noisy. When I want to own a soul like yours, I don't frighten it. I soothe it. I wrap fear in a warm voice that says, be smart. Wait a little. Just make sure it's the right time. That's me. I don't push you backward. I convince you to stand still. You call it being cautious. Waiting for the right opportunity. Preparing. But how long have you been getting ready, I've watched you stare at that dream. The one that makes your chest burn. And I've watched you say, soon. You dress the delay in discipline. But the truth, you're not building. You're stalling. And the clock? It's not pausing just because you are. Every day you don't take the step, I tighten the leash. Because that version of you, the one that risks, the one that leads, the one that fights, that version can't be delayed into existence. You want to know what I fear? It's not your plan. It's not your vision board. It's momentum. Because once you move, I lose control. So I'll keep you still, with fear that feels like logic. Let's just wait for the market to settle. Let me fix my schedule first. Once I feel confident, I'll start. You're not scared of failing. You're scared of beginning. And me? I thrive in that pause. That hesitation. That breath you take before you almost act. And while you delay your destiny, I'm building a narrative in your head. That wasn't the right time anyway. Someone else already did it better. You probably would have failed. And the longer you stand still, the more those lies feel like truth. But here's the beautiful part. You still think you're being smart. You still believe the delay is protecting you. But in reality, it's training you to be passive. And once you've gotten used to waiting, that's when I slip in the next layer of fear. What if it's not fear holding you back at all, but the belief that retreat is mature? Let's talk about that next strategy. Number 2. Then I wrap cowardice in caution. Ever notice how no one wants to admit they're scared, but everyone's suddenly being careful? Tell me, when did fear become wisdom in a suit? You think you're being strategic. You think you're calculating risk. But what if I told you, you're just dressing your fear in adult language? Caution? You call it responsibility. Thinking things through. No, it's cowardice. And I've taught you how to wear it like armor. You don't run from the fire anymore. You negotiate with it. You say things like, now's not the right time. Let me just build a stronger foundation first. Maybe after I take one more course. But deep down, you're not trying to move forward. You're trying to protect your image. You don't want to look foolish. You don't want to be seen struggling. You don't want to risk the embarrassment of being seen starting small. So, you make it sound noble, mature, rational, and I love that. Because while you sit there, thinking things through, others, less cautious, more hungry, are out there living what you're still planning. And every time you see them succeed, you whisper to yourself, they probably got lucky. They'll burn out soon. I'm taking the smart route. That's me again. I can't let you admit the truth, that they were just braver than you. So I feed you delay, disguised as discipline. Retreat, dressed as responsibility. Inaction, sold as strategy. You nod. You feel good. You call yourself mature. But tell me, how many years of maturity does it take to make a move? You've convinced yourself that starting fast is reckless. That trying hard is cringe. That putting yourself out there is desperate. So now, instead of reaching for your calling, you settle for credibility. Instead of risking greatness, you cling to being safe. But let me ask you, safe from what? Failure? Judgment? Your own potential? Let me let you in on a secret. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who fail. They're the ones who never try and still think they're winning. And when you finally notice that your caution has become a coffin, it's already buried in your fire. But don't worry. I have the next step ready for you. Number 3. I show you failure before you even begin. What would you try if you didn't already see yourself failing at it? No, really. How many dreams have you killed with that little mental movie you play? The one where you fall flat, get laughed at, humiliated, rejected? That's not your imagination. That's me. I don't need to stop you with chains. I just need to show you a preview. One glimpse of things going wrong, and your ambition collapses under the weight of what if. You call it being realistic. I call it psychological warfare. Because here's the truth. People don't quit because they're lazy. They quit because they can already feel the sting of failure before they've even tried. And that sting? It's not real. It's a lie soaked in fear and projected on the screen of your mind. But oh, how vividly you watch it. I make the audience big, your friends, your family, strangers online. All judging, all laughing, all nodding like, I knew they couldn't do it. You believe them before they even speak. And then you sabotage yourself in advance. You don't apply. You don't speak up. You don't ask. You don't act. Because in your head, the ending's already written and it's not a happy one. So instead, you pick something safer. Something smaller. Something with less room to fall. I don't crush your dreams. I shrink them until they're so small you can carry them in your pocket, close to your heart, never touched, never risked, never lived. And you tell yourself, one day I'll be ready. I just need more confidence. It's not the right time. But that's not time to talk. That's terror. Terror I planted. Terror you nurtured. And now, it owns you. You look at the mountain and imagine slipping. Not climbing. You imagine falling, not flying. And with each imagined failure, I paint your prison in clearer detail until you believe it's not worth it. Until you say, maybe I'm just not that kind of person. And that's when I smile. Because if I can make you feel defeated before you even begin, I never have to stop you at all. Number 4. I make you fear judgment more than regret. Tell me what hurts more. Being judged by others? Or being forgotten by yourself? I already know your answer. You just won't admit it. Because when the spotlight turns your way, even just for a second, you flinch. You edit your words. You shrink your voice. And worst of all, you hesitate. And that hesitation, that's where I live. I don't need to make you a failure. I just need to convince you that being seen trying is worse than never starting at all. Because if people watch you aim high and miss, that's embarrassing. But if you never take the shot, well, no one can criticize what you didn't do, right? You start playing it safe, staying quiet, following trends, letting opportunities pass not because they're not yours, but because someone might laugh if you reached for them. And the real tragedy? You don't even regret the silence anymore. You fear the noise more than the void. That's how I win. I make you choose acceptance over authenticity, fitting in and standing out. I make you treat opinions like laws, and validation like oxygen. You think it's a strategy. You think I'll make my move when the time is right? When I've built enough confidence, when people will support me. But I already know the end of that sentence. You'll never move. Because here's the sick irony. You'll live your whole life trying to avoid judgment, only to be judged by the one person who matters most. You. At the end of it all, you'll look back, not haunted by critics, but by the quiet moments you never claimed. You'll mourn what you didn't do, not because you failed, but because you let imaginary opinions keep you from real action. You traded regret for reputation. But the crowd you tried to please? They forgot you anyway. And the shame of being unknown to yourself? That's the deepest cut of all. Now you want to break free? Want to stop caring what they'll say? Then answer me this. What if I made that fear part of your identity? What if you now believe you're just not that kind of person? Number 5. By the time you want to fight, you've forgotten how. What happens when you finally wake up, but the fire's gone cold? You blink. You look around. And suddenly, you realize you're in a life you never meant to build. No war. No chaos. Just compromise. Safe, comfortable, numb. That's my masterpiece. Because I didn't need to destroy you. I just needed to delay your fight long enough for your fire to turn to smoke. You used to dream. You used to say, one day I'll rise, I'll create, I'll lead, I'll live. But now, you say things like, it's too late. I'm too tired. Maybe I'm just not that person anymore. And I smile. Because now, you're not resisting. You're justifying. You've made peace with the cage, and worse. You've convinced yourself you chose it. You forgot how to fight because you stopped moving, stopped challenging, stopped risking discomfort. And little by little, I fed you just enough fear to keep you stuck. Then I sprinkled in a little shame. so you wouldn't dare speak of your old dreams. Now they haunt you, silently. So even when your soul starts to stir, even when something inside you screams, "More!" you hesitate. You say, "Where would I even start? Who am I to try now?" And I whisper, "Exactly. But let me tell you a secret. You're not weak. You're just out of practice. And I've spent years convincing you that discomfort equals danger, when really it was your only door out. If you want to beat me, then don't wait for the fire to return. Start while you're cold. Move while it's awkward. Speak even when your voice shakes. You won't remember how to fight until you start throwing punches. It'll feel fake at first. Forced. Embarrassing. Good. That's how rebirth begins. Not with confidence, but with rebellion. And as for fear, use it. Let it sharpen you. Because the version of you I fear most isn't the one who's perfect. It's the one who moves anyway. So here's your moment. Not dramatic, not epic. Just a small crack in the wall of who you used to be. Will you break it open? Or patch it up with one more excuse? Because if you walk away now, next time you won't even notice the cage.